Apple announced the launch of their new watch, the Apple Watch Ultra, and with a name like that, it's sure to be taking on our trusty Garmin watches. But is it the beginning of the end for Garmin and the like? Stick along to the very end and I'll let you know. For those of you who are new here, a bit of a spoiler alert about the result of whether I think this is the beginning of the end of Garmin based on the Apple Ultra. Simple answer, no. Now I'm going to explain the whys and wherefores based on my experience and knowledge, but also bearing in mind nobody's got one of these actually physically, because the watch comes out in a week or so, and if I ordered today I've got to wait over a month. I've looked through the specs, I've looked through the tech and compared it to what's available on my Garmin's available now, and the reason, the whys and wherefores of why I say no. And I would really appreciate if you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe and comment below what you think is important for your smartwatch. Just to give you a bit of a background about myself, because a lot of you are going to be new, have not heard of me, don't know anything about me or whatever, and so on and so forth. Yeah, the channel is called Guru Runs. I predominantly run. I'm currently an England Marathon Masters International runner at the age of 61, where I only took up running in my mid-50s. But that's not why I'm here, why I'm talking about this wonderful Apple Watch. It's because of my background. I've got decades of tech experience. I've even ran various gadget forums in the early noughties, so you're looking at over 20 years ago. So I have a great avid interest in tech, both as a hobby and professionally, and that's my basis and background that I'll be talking about this and giving, hopefully saving you guys time and money by watching this video. But before I go into the details of what I think is this the beginning of the end of the Garmin, I'd really appreciate your comments below of what you feel are the most important feature or features for a sports watch. So please do leave it in the comments below. And the Apple Ultra, what an amazing watch it looks. I've gone through the specs and looked at all the marketing blurb. It looks amazing, and when I see those video images of that runner going through the desert, almost like Marathon des Sables special, yeah, which is, as you may know, it's 7 marathons, 7 days over the Sahara Desert. It looks like they're targeting mega ultra epic races, but there's one key thing which I think it's lacking in, and I'm going to go through that. But in terms of my background, before you go through this video, and if you watch through all the way to the very end, you might think that I'm a bit of an Apple knocker. Is that an actual phrase, an Apple knocker? But just to let you know that I am an Apple user, and what you're watching this now, it would have been edited on an Apple MacBook, yeah. So I am an avid Apple user, but for those of you who have been following my channel for many years know that I'm a no-nonsense type of guy, and I get straight to the point, cut out all the fluff and flannel and talk about what's really important. Yeah, when we look at smartwatches, sports watches in particular, the target market is vital as to whether Apple, Garmin, Sunto, all these other sports watches, who they're targeting for and what they're going for. But when you look at the price point of the new Ultra, the cost of the Ultra, £849. It's clearly pitched at the Fenix 7, Epics, and also other Garmin's that are out there that does that type of job with. It's a big price point. So their target market for these types of what I call top-end sports watches comes under what I call the 3 M's. The 3 M's. Now those are people who are either minted, middle-aged, or middle class. Now I know there's exceptions to that, and maybe you watching this don't fit into any of those 3 categories. Myself, I don't fit in any of those 3 categories. Maybe that's why I'm not target market. But hey, that's for another story. As I mentioned, the cost is £849. I know. And for those who do professional reviews, they sometimes say, let that sink in, which is another way of saying, oh my God, that's a lot of money. And it is a lot of money. You're basically buying a whole computer that goes on your wrist. And it's the same with all the other smartwatches and tech that's available. It comes with up to 36 hours battery life. It does talk about 60 hours battery life when you've got it on low usage. But to be quite frank, and even though my name's Donato, you're not going to be using it as a sports watch if it's in on low mode, is it? So 60 hours as a sports watch? No, not really. You're not doing any sports with it. And I'll go into more detail of the breakdown of how that 36 hours works. It also has an action button that is international orange. I have no idea what international orange is. Leave it in the comments below if you want to enlighten me of what that means. It can operate in temperatures of -20 Celsius up to +55 degrees Celsius. Again, who's that target market for? Do you operate in -20 Celsius in your events, or +55? Yeah, the majority of us don't. And you can also free dive or scuba dive up to 50 meters in depth. Again, how many of us do that? Did you leave in the comments below what features are really important to you? What's essential, what's not so essential? For me, a sports watch, in particular for running, cycling, outdoor type stuff where we want to measure distance and time, those are the key factors. So we need a good GPS on there. Now, my take on that is all sports watches are pretty much accurate, yeah, give or take a few meters. GPS can't be 100% accurate, there's no such a thing, yeah. If you're carrying a little piece of tech thousands of miles up in the air, satellite, it ain't going to be 100% accurate, but it'll be thereabouts. So GPS essential. For me, all the other features in terms of oxygen level, VO2 and all that, those are all nice to haves and can help and be beneficial, but again, most of the watches are all pretty similar. So for me, the killer part of the actual tech is the battery life, and that's why when I said at the beginning that this Apple Ultra is not challenging Garmin or the likes, it's not different, because the battery life, in my opinion, is abysmal. 36 hours. That's all you get. Let me give you a breakdown that makes the numbers look even worse. I'll give you a breakdown of what Apple show on their website of what actual hours you get of usage out of those 36 hours. So in those 36 hours, this is what Apple shows that it's actually done during that time. 180 time checks. So you're looking at your watch 180 times. 180 notifications, so I'm getting that's messages, text messages and so on. 90 minutes of app use, because obviously with the Apple Watch you've got various apps that you might want to use. But get this is the killer part. In the 36 hours it's allowed for 60 minutes of exercise with music. 60 minutes. Now, I like to call a spade, but that doesn't sound very ultra to me. I don't know how many ultras you could complete in 60 minutes. In addition to these, it also talks about 8 hours on 4G LTE and 28 hours connection with your iPhone via Bluetooth. Now, based on all of that, I can appreciate you could probably switch off all your notifications, app usage, so the 60 minutes of exercise with music playing, you might choose the option of not playing music, and that might give you a better battery life. But that ain't good battery life. And to me, the marketing of that guy running across a desert and wow, whoopie-doo, I don't think it's going to be happening. I'd like to be proven wrong. Apple or anyone out there, please do send me an Ultra watch when it does come out, and I'd like to try it out and see how long the battery really does last. I have tried an Apple Watch and it did last a day, but I didn't do any exercise with it. It was just standard usage and then charge it at the end of each day, which I didn't really see. Yeah, for the costs that you're paying out, for me it wasn't really a good cost benefit analysis basically. If you think I'm being a bit harsh with the Apple Ultra, I had a quick look up on one of the latest Garmin devices. Now, as I mentioned, price wise it's targeting the sort of lower end of Garmin 7 Fenix, but I did spot another Garmin which sort of is targeting more the Ultra, and that is the Garmin Enduro 2. Now, the price point for this is a little higher than the Apple Ultra. The price is £929.99, so it's higher, yeah. But get this on the battery life, yeah. Are you ready to hear this? Now, this is GPS usage with solar power. 150 hours GPS, yeah. As that sunk in, 150 hours. Now, bearing in mind the Apple Ultra talks about 30 hours with usage of where there was 60 minutes of exercise on there with GPS. Can you do the maths? Can you see why it ain't happening? Yeah, it isn't happening, which comes back to my target market of the 3 M's. Minted, middle-aged, middle class. Who's the target market for the Apple Ultra? Who's the target market for the Garmin Enduro? different target markets in my opinion. And if you follow YouTube regularly, there was a very big YouTuber, Casey Neistat, done a review and differences between the Apple Watch, Garmin and other types of fitness watches, and showed the different segmentation and target markets. So I think it's different horses for courses. Believe me, I'd love to have an Apple Ultra and wear it as a sort of fashion accessory and so on and so forth, but that's a fashion accessory, not an actual ultra endurance sports watch. Now that's just the features that I'm talking about, but in terms of its durability and what it's made for, it's an amazing watch. Yeah, it's proper hardcore. It can take, it's tough, rough, tough and tumbling, much better than the previous versions of Apple Watches. But if the battery sucks, what's the point? So if you have £849 knocking about and feel like buying a new watch for this coming Christmas, then the Apple Ultra probably is for you, maybe. I joke, yeah, I joke. Yes, horses for courses, each to their own. We're all free to buy whatever we want to buy, whatever we can afford. And as I mentioned, whilst I talk about the 3Ms of being minted, middle-aged or middle class, a lot of you guys watching this, and you can leave it in the comments below, won't fit into that 3 categories because we are of different backgrounds, areas. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think it's the kind of watch you would go for? Will you stick with what you use at the moment? And I do know that there are other sports watches, not like the Garmin, that have even better battery life without the solar power, you know. And a lot of the ultra runners, I'm talking hardcore ultra runners, use those watches because what's important to them is literally just GPS battery life. If the battery life is good enough to take them along on these ultra races and the GPS track's pretty accurate, that's all they want. Am I oversimplifying it? I'd love to hear from you. So remember, thanks for sticking to the very end of this video, and I'd love you to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe and hit that alarm bell if you haven't already done so you can keep updated on my future videos that's coming out, which is predominantly around running and sports. But yeah, I suppose I should have said a background about what I do and where I'm coming from. Thank you for watching. I'll edit that back in earlier. Is £849. Stick along to the very end and you'll see why. The answer is no. It's a big price point. So their target market there's and all sorts, yeah. I think I'm waffling a bit now. What's new, you say? Oh, I think I'll have to put this in the outtakes. I hope you enjoyed that filming here on the grandstand at Worcester Racecourse. Yeah, I know, all types of locations, to get this filming done.